Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing really well. In today's video, I want to share with you 8 pieces of advice around life, career, money, and entrepreneurship. So if you're interested in finding out more, please keep watching. The reason I wanted to create this video was to give you guys 8 pieces of advice that I wish that I would have received when I started, or an advice that you can sort of take on and consider me to be like your bigger sister. So I think this is something that a lot of you guys will find beneficial. Also, just wanted to mention as well and say a huge thank you to Taylor Brands for sponsoring today's video. They are your one-stop shop at building your brand and building your business, but we'll talk about them a little bit later on in this video. Now, let's start off with life advice. Now, I've got 2 pieces of advice which I think is going to be very, very helpful, very beneficial. The first being to not get advice from someone that hasn't gone out there and done it for themselves or hasn't had any experience with it for themselves. This is so funny because I've literally seen so many people give advice on topics that they haven't actually experienced, they haven't had to go through, they haven't even, come across that kind of encounter, but yet they're giving this piece of advice to someone. So for example, getting investment advice or money advice from someone who hasn't actually got any investments or is actually managing their money quite poorly, I think is so funny because they don't know enough about that industry or that field that warrants them to be able to give that advice. Another thing I find really interesting is people who are single or are in complicated relationships are giving relationship advice. I think this is so funny because it's quite ironic. Like, your relationship is not actually the best, yet you're here giving relationship advice. I suppose it could be advice around what not to do, but then again, why would you be wanting to get advice from someone that hasn't actually got a steady relationship? I tend to see this a lot with friendship groups as well, which I think is super, super funny. Next thing is getting business advice from someone that hasn't actually gone out and run a business for themselves or hasn't actually even started to look at potentially running their own business. I just feel this is quite interesting. Like, how can someone give advice on running a business when they haven't actually run one themselves? This then takes me to my point around, you don't go to your friends to get your teeth fixed. You go to a dentist, someone that actually knows what they're doing, they've done it before, and that's why you go to a dentist. So why would you go to a person who hasn't got any investments, hasn't started a business, isn't in a happy, positive relationship? Why would you go to them for advice? So I think it's very important for you to realize and for you to know the types of people that you're getting advice from. Is it actually going to be good quality advice? The second piece of life advice that I want to share is around stop overthinking and just go out and do it. I just cannot say it any more simpler. I think it's as easy as that. Just stop thinking about it, take small actionable steps to get the ball rolling, get into the groove of, doing a little bit every single day to finally make a move. And personally for me, I wish I had started YouTube a lot earlier. I wish I had started, because I started in 2018. I wish I had started earlier because I used to watch, lots of YouTube videos growing up. It was like my main source of entertainment. So if you're thinking about starting your own YouTube channel, definitely go out and do it. A lot of people message me as well, and because I am from an Indian background, they asked me about my advice on moving out of home, and I tell them that it's been the best decision of my life. I've been able to focus on myself. I've been able to focus on things that really matter to me, and I'm able to grow as a person, become independent, and learn so much more out there. I feel like I'm a complete person now than I have ever been. Also, travel. If you want to travel, just go out, do it. Of course, if you can afford it, you do need to take that into consideration. People thinking about quitting their job, I think this is 100% something that should be considered, because quitting your job is just so liberating. Of course, you need to have a backup plan, but maybe you're not quitting your job to start a business. Maybe you're quitting your job to find a bigger and better role. So at the end of the day, stop overthinking it, just do it and do it for yourself. Moving on to the next piece of advice, and that is around business. So when I started my career consulting business last year, when I quit my job, around one-on-one coaching, around career interviews, CV help, cover letters, it almost took me 6 months to actually get my business business up and running. From getting the website, the branding, getting the domains ready, and just getting logos, everything in check, and emails ready before I actually launched. It was definitely a very lengthy process. I had actually signed up to multiple subscription-based services, which would actually help me run my business, but this was very admin heavy. It definitely cost me a lot. I wish there was like a platform that had everything in one place that I could actually use. And this is where Taylor Brands comes into the picture. So Taylor Brands is the sponsor for today's video. They are your one-stop shop for all your business needs, from website creation, logos, to LLCs, merchandising, business cards, and so much more. So just by answering a few short questions after you sign up, you can start your business and focus on the things that really matter to you. So all you need to do is just click the link in the description box down below, use my code SUCCESSBYSanjana20, and you'll be able to get 20% off all your plans, which just start from $8.99 a month. All you need to do is just go in, create a business name for yourself, get started, select what type of business you're looking at offering. Let's say I'm doing a services-based business. My industry, for example, is a career consulting business. So I'm gonna pop those details in and talk a little bit about what it is that I will be providing in terms of services. Select the type of logo that I want. I wanna go for an icon-based logo, but you can obviously choose name-based or initial-based as well. And then you can obviously select for geometric shape or search for an icon. I'm gonna go for an icon and type in the word career. Now I'm just gonna have a quick look as to what really matches my theme. I love the one with the female walking up the stairs. I'm gonna go ahead with that one. And then you can choose your font style or how you want the logo to feel. So I'm gonna go ahead with classy. I'm gonna go ahead with rounded and thin. And then it's just gonna design your perfect logo for you. So as you can see, the logo is just the beginning. You're able to create digital business cards, normal business cards as well, physical, branded website, merchandising, social covers, and so much more. So if you're looking at starting your own business and you want the convenience of a one-stop shop, I would highly recommend using Taylor Brands. I'll be sure to include all of their information down in the description box below, so make sure you check them out. The next piece of business advice that I wanted to share was to not just go for the money or the status of things. Now this can be related in terms of your business, but it can also be relevant in terms of your work as well. In terms of the work aspect, I tend to see a lot of people that obviously apply for jobs because they think it's going to be a well-paying job, and then a couple of years down the track they find that it's not something that they're truly passionate about, and the money almost doesn't even matter by that point. And personally, for my scenario, I joined the Big Four consulting groups. I joined KPMG in the hopes that I will be making a lot of money and work my way up the corporate ladder. But as we all know, I obviously quit my job, my 9-to-5 job last year, because I figured that that wasn't the path I wanted to follow. But if I had thought about it at an earlier age, I could have gone into something that I was actually truly passionate about, which was social media, and potentially started my business earlier as well. In terms of my business as well, we all know that I had the career consulting business where I offered one-on-one career coaching, and that obviously was a great idea. I'm glad I tried it out, and I figured it wasn't really for me. Yes, the money was great. I could have grown it into something a lot bigger, a lot better, and definitely helped a lot of people around. But at the end of the day, I was sort of removed from the 9-to-5 field, and I felt that I wasn't really relevant, and obviously the passion wasn't fully there as well. Let's move on to money advice. Now, the first piece of advice is around managing your money, managing your own money rather. And what I tend to see, even in my friendship groups as well, I tend to see, when we start working, we don't really know how to manage money. We tend to get our parents to manage our money for us. I mean, I've still got a lot of friends who have their parents managing their money, which I think is quite absurd. And I think that is a time where you're making your money, you should be learning how to manage it for yourself as well. Because if you obviously start at an earlier age, you're able to take learnings from that and really understand the art of managing your own money, budgeting, budgeting, figuring out accounts and credit cards, managing your own finances. I think it's so empowering, and I think is something that everyone should be accountable for and responsible for managing their own funds, because there is a lot to learn, and if you don't start early, you're never going to really catch up and you're going to feel like you're left behind. The next piece of advice around money is to start investing at an early age. I can't stress this enough, but if I had the opportunity, if I had the funds, I would have loved to start investing at the age of 14, 15 years old. But unfortunately, given my circumstances, I couldn't start until later on at about 23, 24 years old. So if you've got the opportunity, then definitely go for it, because we all know a few people who have their money just sitting in their bank accounts, and unfortunately that is losing value due to inflation, and we obviously don't want that to happen. So you want to be able to invest your money, and you want to obviously see that grow, your money work for you. And I'm not saying to invest all of it, I'm saying just to invest a smart amount, what you think you're comfortable with, and obviously keeping an emergency fund, which is generally about 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, because having your money just sit there, of course, if you're saving for a down payment for the house, then that's totally fine, but a lot of people actually aren't, and the reason that they have large amounts of money in their account is because they don't actually know what to do with it. So that's a whole nother scenario in itself. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you know what to do with your money, invest it, don't let it sit there and potentially be eaten away by inflation. Let's move on to work-related advice. Now, the first piece of advice is to really break it down. So if you're working a 40-hour week, on paper, think about realistically how many hours you're actually putting into your job. It may be 50 to 60 hours, and then try and calculate your hourly rate based off of that. You'll soon realize that you're working longer hours, and your hourly rate, you may not be actually getting paid overtime. I know in a lot of jobs that people don't actually get paid overtime. It's just a requirement to get the work done, and it may just take you longer. Now, personally for me, I knew that, when I did work at KPMG, I was earning a salary of about $60,000, and obviously I was putting in a lot more time and effort into the work that I was doing, and I just felt that I wasn't getting rewarded enough, and that's when I decided to leave and pursue working at a Big Four bank in Australia. And when I actually did that, I was able to double my income. So going from $60,000 salary, mind you, that was including super, so it's technically $50,000, then moving along to Westpac, where I was able to actually earn about $110,000. So as we can see, there is definitely the potential there if you do want to make it happen. If you're not happy, look elsewhere, leave the Big Four firms, because yes, we know that they provide lots of experience and there's lots of client interaction, there's lots to learn, you build knowledge, into personal skills, networking is definitely great as well, but there comes a point in time where you just want to make more money, and if you're happy doing what you're doing in terms of the industry, then there's no harm in just switching your workplace, your organization, to actually increase your salary. The next piece of advice that I like to share is to sit down and think about your deeper inner sort of passions around what your ideal life could look like. Does your 9 to 5 sit within those passions? And don't lie to yourself, because I know 8 to 9 times out of 10, because people tend to lie to themselves and say that yes, 9 to 5s do sit within their long-term future planning, but if you really think about it, when it comes, Sunday afternoon and then you get those Monday blues, that's when you really sort of start hating on your 9 to 5, isn't it? And there are many people that actually, complain about their 9 to 5 job, but don't actually do anything about it. So if you start looking at alternative options and you start figuring out what your ideal lifestyle is going to look like, or you want it to look like, then you can start working towards it today. And that could mean, starting up your own side hustle, starting up a business on the side. That could mean, going part-time as well if your business is doing well, and really think about the life that you want to have, because let's not lie to ourselves, I'm pretty sure that a 9 to 5 is not within your long-term ultimate dreams and goals to, continue working a 9 to 5 until you're 60 or 70 years old, right? So definitely take the time out to consider what it is that you want to do in the long term. So those are 8 pieces of advice around life, business, work, and money, which I hope you guys all found useful. So remember, if you're looking at starting to create the branding for your business and you want a one-stop shop, then be sure to check check the link down below for Taylor Brands and make sure you use my discount code as well. And that's it, guys. Make sure you follow me over on Instagram and TikTok as well, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks, guys.